the 5 commandments are, and I'll probably blur the lines on these over the course of this video, or this podcast episode, but the first one is no nihilistic films or films about darkness winning for the sake of being cool. I'll get into why. Number 2 commandment is no sequels, no remakes, no cheesy horror films or hollow comedies. Make something original. Number 3, make something you're passionate about, makes the world a better place, and is about you or the character just finding a way to be a better person. Number 4, make something that honors God and spreads his kingdom. And number 5 is do not fabricate God or Jesus in the Bible and in your film. Those are the 5 commandments I have so far. These have been revealed to me over time, and I'll possibly give background about why. Now, if you follow these principles, from my experience, this is going to put wind in your sails big time. And you are aiming as high as possible with the highest possible intentions spiritually. We're talking about spiritual filmmaking. This probably sounds very weird and alien to you, but I've witnessed this work for other people. I've never heard somebody talk about this. I mean, a lot of people talk about filmmaking in terms of what's commercial or what's successful, what audiences want, and we're going to get into a lot of that. But that's all about conflict. That's all about story. That's a completely different ball game. This is for you, because at the end of the day, the audience is not making your film. You are. And filmmaking's really hard. Not just filmmaking, indie filmmaking. You are going to be putting your own time, your own money, your own blood, sweat, and tears into this project for the long haul. And you best make sure that this is a journey you want to go on. I mean, it's like you want to take great care in the partner you choose. The person you date, the person you marry. Look at filmmaking the same way. And I promise you have the highest intentions for your film is going to have the highest impact in your life. It's going to change you in very positive ways. I guarantee it. And we'll start with rule number 1. No nihilistic films or films about darkness winning for the sake of being cool. So this one, I think I've made a lot of nihilistic films over the years, everything from my World War II script, and sometimes it wasn't intentional. It was just where I was at in life. And it's really hard. Like if you're somebody who doesn't realize that they're nihilistic about things, it's a hard thing to break out of, but there's a way to break out of it. I think the film that put white hair in my beard was Rusty Spade. That was a very nihilistic, dark film, gritty film, and also I think dishonored God. It dishonored God, and wasn't God honoring, at least. Same with my World War II script. Basically, the way I'd say to make something not nihilistic is you have to be vulnerable. You have to go into a project, writing it, telling a story that's personal to you, even if it's not obvious to people what part of your life it's personal to. And you have to be reaching towards something that's optimistic or positive. You're trying to turn a negative to a positive. There's a way, and it's hard. It's incredibly hard. And that's the point. You want to do things that are very hard in the intentions of your film. And I guarantee it's gonna be so beneficial later down the process, throughout the process. The journey you get to go on is going to be amazing. It's going to be very hard, but very amazing. And there was a piece of feedback I once got from a filmmaker, and this is terrible feedback, by the way. Don't listen to this. That you can't be too close to the story you're telling. the film you're making. That somehow, if you're making a film that is too personal or too close to you, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. I can tell you without a doubt, the person who gave me that advice, I would not trade places with them right now. At the time when I heard this feedback, I actually was like, I need to, be like this person or work with them. And I regretted it because I actually let them convince me to change my entire script. Ultimately, I went back to it, but it actually poisoned the well, so to say, for years. And I was afraid to make something I was passionate about. So yeah, you make something that's vulnerable and truthful to you. I'd also argue there's steps of the process in writing, that involves holding off on outlining. Stephen King will write without outlines, and I highly recommend trying not to outline, but you can also do something that's not nihilistic or something that's very vulnerable with an outline. I just find outlines actually limit you from growing with the characters, because you tell yourself, okay, this is who the character is by the end. You want them to organically grow with you through the writing process. And I'll discuss that in the writing chapter of this masterclass. I may not remember that I made that reference just now, but I think it'll come down to you want to grow with the characters through the course of it. And that means, wherever you're at in the script, especially if it's a feature, that's who the characters are. You don't want the characters later in the script to be who you are right then or before you started writing. And that's what you're doing if you have an outline. You start imposing things, and then what's going to happen is you are going to start to grow bitter and resentful subconsciously through the course of the writing. And I guarantee most writers don't even notice that they do that. They're going to find themselves trapped and feel it's going to subconsciously seep through. There's a enjoyment, a beauty, a love of the craft of writing when you don't know where it's going to some degree. Now, that doesn't mean you can't write, ideas down or fill a box with index cards. I'll teach about that probably, and I'm pretty sure it will come up. But having the ideas written down and then forgetting about them, creating distance, that's a beautiful way to like trap the ideas, start planting seeds, but not get locked into anything specific and feel like you have to adhere to some rigid outline that is based on who you were a while ago. And that's another thing about making a film. When you're directing one that you wrote, you start to hate the character, but if you follow these commandments, you'll most likely feel you'll be able to keep going through the project and not feel like you have to start over, because you can't. You're gonna come to hate the thing that you wrote, and because it's not going to reflect who you are that day anymore. But as long as it's moving in the right direction, positive intentions, positive direction, you're gonna have the motivation to get through it. So commandment number 2 is no sequels, no remakes, no cheesy horror films or hollow comedies, and make something original. Simple enough. We've got too many projects or films that are just remakes and it's challenging to make something original. It's challenging to do something unique. But if you're borrowing from things in your life and using that for inspiration and applying it to something that's unique, you can make something that really stands out and means something to you, means something more to you. The question is, do you want to be the director of some big blockbuster sequel or some movie that is based on a book or which nothing wrong with that, but would you rather make something that's based on somebody else's thing, or make something that's completely your creation? Would you rather be the kind of directors who I can't even think of names right now, who just make other people's books and the movies or things like that? Or would you like to be Christopher Nolan or Quentin Tarantino? I mean, those directors will make things from other books, but they also make their own original things, and I love when they do that. I love when writer-directors make something original and really go after something and create their own world, because it has their identity, their DNA, it's their blueprint, and you feel this awe that comes from it. That's another way to aim really high. Of course, you don't have to like not make somebody else's book into a movie. It's just, I find if you want to make the challenge harder and be worth it, make something original. But it's going to be more challenging. So basically, all these commandments are just going to make your life a little bit harder, but in the end, it's going to be worth it, and you're going to go through such a growth journey in the process. And really, I think that's what this is about. That's what filmmaking is for, is to have an adventure. And if you're not having a positive adventure, you're kind of going to feel hollow.